are back. We are live, and I'm here to say welcome to the most overrated, underappreciated, most viewed, underviewed podcast of all time. Welcome to the Prince of Fresh Air. I am, of course, your beloved, the most charismatic man in entertainment. We are back, and it's good to be back for another episode. And Dwayne the Rock Johnson. I know you've been reaching out to me, but first I gotta get through this episode with this next guest because when I heard his story and he reached out to me, I felt that this was such a great conversation to have. And right before I introduce him, I just want to say, this podcast is all about comedy, it's all about laughter, it's all about having fun. But we have those important conversations. So I'm looking forward to this conversation because I don't just have a regular person in front of me here. He's a standout lacrosse player. And fun fact, he was selected in the 31st overall by the Arizona Sting in the 2005 NLL entry draft. He is a prominent international model, mental health advocate, certified fitness coach, and content creator from Canada, but now lives in Texas. He's been featured on multiple magazines, Men's Health, Hugo Boss, Jockey, Media Magazine, and over 40 podcast publications. But he's on the most charismatic experience, and I'm looking forward to having him on the podcast, having an amazing conversation. And please help me introduce Jonathan Niziol. How you doing, man?
Good, Percy. Thanks very much for having me, man. Nice. Appreciate the intro.
I try. I was gonna save this for now, but I was looking at your picture, and I thought, he actually kind of looked like Tom Welling. Have you ever got that before?
Yeah, I've gotten that before. Yeah. I mean, this could be worse things, man. He's a handsome dude, so I'll take it.
I was thinking too. Vincent. Let me see if I could get his name right. Vincent Denofrio. You know who I'm talking about, right?
Vincent D'Onofrio, yeah.
Yeah, you look like him when he was younger.
Yeah, I was gonna say not these days. Like, geez, man, easy. I'm like, yikes. Where's the hang up button here? Leave studio. Yeah, a young Vincent D'Onofrio. Yeah, I haven't heard that before, but he's a great actor. The old Law and Order days back in the day.
Yeah, amazing guy. I actually met him years ago, but yeah, I was thinking Tom Welling for sure. But enough for the celebrity comparisons because this is not about me. This is about you. So like I said, I heard your story, and shout out to your manager who's super professional and gave me as many details as I can about you. You know, you've been open about your past and things you overcome to get to the point where you are today. But in order to get to the present, we have to go back to the past a little bit. So, you know, how was your journey? When you were doing lacrosse, when you was living in Canada, and then you moved to Texas. How was life for you before you found this new transition in life?
Yeah, that's a big question. I mean, it's been a long time. I mean, how do you sum up like 21 years? And I don't know, man. Life's been life. It's just like life for everybody, right? Lots of ups, lots of downs, lots of tests, and just trying to learn and grow and make mistakes, and hopefully learn along the way and make more mistakes and make the same mistakes, and then finally learn. And yeah, man, it's wonderful. I wouldn't take it back for anything. Spent a lot of time with addiction problems, um, recovering alcoholic, recovering drug addict. I had a eating disorder for about 8 years. It all kind of started with and stemmed from the loss of my mom, very suddenly and very unexpectedly, day before my 21st birthday. And yeah, man, just learning how to live with and thrive, not just survive. Because for years I was just barely surviving and definitely not thriving. And yeah, man, it's been. I mean, there's a lot of great times along the way, a lot of like not so great times, a lot of great stories, a lot of some PG, some not so PG.
Right.
But yeah, man, it's been quite a journey, and it continues to be.
Yeah, a lot of people, and the reason why I want to have you on is, I've had a lot of, successful people in their own fields on this podcast, and I think it's important, even for me. You know, I think a lot of people look on the outside and they think, oh, successful, businessman. I know you do real estate as well. You know, you've had a successful journey. You've been on magazines. What could go wrong with this guy? And I think stories like these are important because I think it humanizes you. And for me, I've had my own struggles too, and it took me a long time to get to that point to, not that I'm not that old, but I think you get to a point where you want to share your story because a lot of people judge you based on what they see, but not who you are as a person. So for you, when did that journey start for you to finally talk about those hard hitting things? Because quite frankly, a lot of people wouldn't do podcasts or talk about struggles they overcame. So how did you get to that point where you wanted to express that about your journey?
You know what? It probably just came within like the last 15 months. Like finally got to a place where I could talk about it. And I started doing podcasts and stuff like that. Like I carried a lot of shame and a lot of regret and stuff like that. And I've finally gotten to the place where I'm proud of the things that I've gone through. I'm proud of what I've been, and I wouldn't change them for the world because they made me who I am today. But for the longest time, like I said, there was a lot of shame. There was a lot of hiding. There was a lot of like you said about people, they'd see me. And then when I start talking about this stuff publicly, they'd be like, people that knew me in that time, like, man, we thought you had it all together. Like you're the international model, like all the girls want to be like, it just like best shape in the gym, like whatever. I'm like, and I just felt like I was broken inside. But to answer your question, about 15 months ago, I don't know how I came to this, but I finally like learned how to forgive myself. And I've been sober from drugs for over 7.5 years and sober from alcohol for 16 years. But for some reason, just like I got to the point where I forgive myself for the things that I've done and the paths that I've chosen that weren't necessarily the right paths, like addiction, like alcoholism, that kind of stuff, because I was trying my best with what I had at the time. I was trying. So I can put that aside and say, okay, I forgive myself. And I also forgive myself for the things that I have happened to me that I didn't bring upon myself, like my mom passing away and stuff like that, and a few other things. So I've just learned to like let it go and not hold it over myself and be able to talk about it. And yeah, like I've said, I've really come to a place where I'm much more comfortable, and I've learned that vulnerability is power and not shame as I thought it was for 15, 16, 20 years.
Right. And there's nothing to be ashamed about. I think, I was actually going to, mention, congrats to you for being 16 years sober. That's not an easy feat. And,
Thanks, man.
you know, a lot of people, like for me, my outlook on addiction and stuff changed. When I was in college, I worked up close and personal with people who was in rehab, who was going through those withdrawals and, just trying to figure out how can they better themselves. And I think a lot of people misjudge a lot of people about that. And I think it's helpful to have someone like you on because people can see, wow, you can, hit rock bottom and still climb to the top. So, I just want to dissect this a little bit because you're an international model. I'm an actor, so we both have an experience in the entertainment industry,
Mm-hmm.
and
Of course.
it's a hard industry.
Sure is.
When you were, when you got into modeling and stuff like that, were you still, you know, in your using phase, and did because a lot of people don't realize, but modeling, especially from the 1990s to the 2000, even the 2010 era, there was a lot of models coming out talking about mental health, eating disorders, struggling with addiction because it's such a hard industry to continue to keep yourself in shape and look presentable. Did that journey is lucrative or whatever the case may be, it was? Do you think that that also played a big part in your like your phase of going through using alcohol and stuff?
So I started modeling about a year after I got sober from alcohol, and so that part of my life was done. But excuse me, it definitely I did this anyway on my own, but it definitely started to put like a plant the seed of body dysmorphia and that kind of stuff, and the comparison to other people. And like when you start modeling internationally and hitting some of the big markets, it's like sink or swim, and you're competing against the best in the world. So it can do a lot of weird things to your mind. And like you said, it's a lot different now than it was 15 years ago, the modeling industry. And I'm still modeling to this day and love it. And really enjoy it. But I think it was not so much the modeling, excuse me, that led me to those things. It was more so the untreated and the uneducated view that I had with trauma. And like I said, dealing with my mom passing away and stuff like that, and things just compounding. And that more so led me to, drug addiction and stuff like that. It's just not knowing and having the tools and that kind of stuff. I mean, don't get me wrong though. I mean, it's you go to a casting and you don't get the job, and the first thing you think is, what's wrong with me? Like, what's wrong with me as a person? Like, it's obviously, this job is based on this, and I didn't get the job, so there's something wrong with this. And you have to learn how to separate that and understand that, casting directors are going to choose people they choose for whatever reason. It's not necessarily just you every time. And even the top models in the world are probably not getting 75% of the jobs that they're, put forward for. So the rest of us that are just doing our thing, how can we expect to book 100% of, our jobs and stuff? So yeah, it's been quite a learning experience. Like you said, it's changed a lot. It was a lot different, but yeah, it's been a wonderful experience. I mean, for overall, definitely, I wouldn't still be doing it if it wasn't an overall wonderful experience.
Yeah. One of the questions I like to ask, because I'm not too well versed in it, so I would like to ask you. I talk, a lot of times with other actors about, how the industry has changed. Even to this day, it's always changing. So for you, when you got into it, how has it changed from when you started to, now? Because, back then, like I said, it was pretty well known that you had to look a certain way to even just get in a room. And now we're seeing diversity. We've seen all different types of people being involved in these conversations. So for you, how was that transition, from then to now? How has the industry changed in your opinion?
Man, it's changed so much. I mean, it's for better and worse. For better, I would say. It was like the Wild West when I first started. There was no Me Too movement. There was no whatever. You'd go on set, and the stuff that was said to you and the things that people would try and do, you wouldn't even believe, and people wouldn't get away with for a minute nowadays. But it was commonplace, and it was just kind of swept under the rug, or just assumed that was the way it was going to be. So I'm glad that's changed. And yeah, there's a lot more diversity. I think there should be. The general population is much more diverse than, for men, 5'11" to 6'4", and, up to a 42-inch suit, and all these things and measurements and stuff we had to be in. So I'm glad to see the diversity and that changing as well, where people are getting a lot more opportunities and being less forced to and stick to. For myself, I'll speak for myself. I was always told I'm 6'2", so I was right in the height size, or the height range, and I just naturally build muscle easily. It's just part of my genetics, whatever. It is what it is. So I was always fighting building muscle and getting over a 42 suit, and the eating disorder and all that kind of stuff. I was doing all kinds of stuff, just running like crazy and trying to burn off muscle. I finally got to the point where I just told my agency, look, I'm going to be a 43, maybe 44 suit. I don't want to be a bodybuilder. I'm never going to be a bodybuilder, but I'm just going to be who I am. And they're like, okay. And I've gotten more work and felt more comfortable in my own skin as a result. So I think there's been a lot of changes, but it's good that it's cleaned up a lot of the Harvey Weinsteins and stuff like that in the industry, and really held those people accountable. And I could even see it. I mean, like I said, I've been doing it 15 years and still am doing it, but being in major markets and going from 1 year to the next to go see the same person, and the first experience being that drastically different than the next experience, because somebody somewhere said something and they smartened up, and it was oh, interesting. It's nice to not be talked to like that. But again, like I said, I've had a lot of wonderful experiences and met a lot of wonderful people, but it has changed. It's changed a lot.
Yeah, I think a lot of people only just hear the dark stories about the entertainment industry, and I think one of the reasons why I want to ask you about that is because oftentimes, especially now in this current climate we're trying to change the way how industries are working, right? And there was a period of time where people had to go through the eating disorders and sacrifice a lot of things to get to that career that they wanted. So for you, because it is a hard decision to make, that what, I'm going to stop the eating disorders, I'm going to stop starving myself, or whatever the case may be, I have to do to get those jobs. How did you finally get to that point where you like, I'm not going to do that no more, and I'm going to continue just being myself? Because quite frankly, in this industry, you could be yourself, but that doesn't mean people want you for yourself, right? So how did you find that place within you to say, you know what, this is where I'm going to start going, and this is my main focus? And was that an easy choice, or was that just something where one day you woke up and it's like, nah, I'm going to do it, and that's the bottom line?
It took time for sure, and it took growth along the way and understanding and to learn that and to be comfortable in my own skin, like I said. Um, I've always been a big proponent of health. Since I got out of the hospital with a really bad case of acute pancreatitis that stopped me from drinking, I've been very proactive with my health and always taken very good care. Even when I was even when I was, I always say I was like a functioning bulimic because I would eat my healthy breakfast, lunch, dinner, do all that stuff and take my vitamins. And then it was only when I was alone with my thoughts and I had like, stuff on my mind that I would be like, oh, I need something now to distract me. And I would go get like $100 worth of junk food and just like binge and purge and whatever. But I've always been a big proponent of health, and it was the health part. But yeah, it was a slow growth of that, and I would say it was exactly that. It was growth. It took time, and it was for me. And I've talked to a lot of addicts and stuff, and you talk about rock bottoms, and the final rock bottom usually isn't nearly as severe as the rock bottoms that we've experienced throughout our lives and throughout our addiction. Like I've hit lowest of the lows, and I've had dozens of rock bottoms. Like it's not like I just hit rock bottom and I was like, oh, okay, now this is rock bottom. Like, nah, man, I've been lower and lower and lower than that. So it's it's coming to terms with and deciding for yourself, okay, I'm done with this, and I'm going to move past it and take drastic steps to learn how to function without doing this, having this crutch or having this addiction or whatever it is. And for me, that was therapy. I decided I was finally going to go to therapy and learn how to be a sober, functioning adult. The first time in my life at 35, I was like, this isn't working, and I got to try something different. So yeah,
Wow.
it's what it is.
Yeah, I actually, now that you mention that, I do want to go back a little bit to that, because you know I think it's important for people to understand how you overcame that, right? And this is a passionate subject for me, because I often hear a lot of people make jokes, or they don't really appreciate. I would say randomly people say, "Oh, you wanted to use drugs? That's your choice," or "You wanted to use whatever alcohol, whatever vice there is. That's your problem." But the problem is there are other people who go through traumatic experiences, and they don't have someone to go to, or a support system to be there for them in a time where they need.
So the biggest thing for me, like my friend talked to me, and my friend explained it, like put it in these terms, and it was kind of right. Like the universe was showing me that each of the substances that I was addicted to weren't working out for me. I was having bad experiences with them all, and the final straw, I was addicted to some muscle relaxers, and they were over-the-counter muscle relaxers. You just buy them on the shelves, and each pill contained 500 milligrams of methocarbamol. That's the active muscle releasing drug, and then 200 milligrams of ibuprofen in each pill. And it says don't take more than 12 in one day. That's the recommended on the box guidelines, whatever. So I had kind of, like I said, exhausted all these other addictions, but I still had all these feelings and all this trauma and stuff that I didn't want to deal with. So, I took a few pills, and I'm a big, like, when I do things, I do it like I go all in. Like if I'm gonna play lacrosse, I'm gonna be a professional lacrosse player. If I drink, I'm gonna be an alcoholic, like big time alcoholic. If I'm gonna model, I want to go like the top markets around the world, that kind of stuff. It's one of my best and worst qualities for sure. So it says don't take more than 12 in one day, and I was taking 100 pills every single day. I was taking 50,000 milligrams of methocarbamol and 20,000 milligrams of ibuprofen every single day. And that was just my way of coping. I would just I get home, I'd dump a handful of like 30 or 40 in my hand and just swallow them down and then just kind of forget about my day. And finally it gave me an intestinal ulcer, and I was seeing all kinds of, I was losing weight. My anxiety was through the roof. I was like having fainting spells, like cracked my head open one day because I fainted in my house and woke up in a pool of blood. And that's when I said to myself, okay, I can either graduate, because I was always pretty good about staying on like the baseline drugs. Like I did a lot of them, like it really, really abused them. But I was like, okay, I can either graduate to, Coke or heroin or, Oxy, whatever. But I know as soon as I do that, my life's over. Like I know that I won't be able to come back from that. Or I can do something else drastic. And like I said, that was going to therapy. And man, it was hard because for the first time in my life, I was talking about and dealing with all this trauma that I've like dealt with and all these things that I've put off for the last 15 years. And I had to talk about and confront and like learn and really like delve into them. But I didn't have a substance or anything to fall back on. It was just me and my thoughts. But I always say, I grew up on a farm in Canada, 500-acre cattle farm. And growing up on a farm, there's a lot of work to do. Obviously, it's, farms are synonymous with having a lot of work to do. And like from a young age, I was instilled with a very diligent work ethic, because when you're on the farm, you don't have a choice whether or not you want to do things. It's minus 40, and my dad was on a business trip because he owned an architecture design firm as well. It's minus 40 degrees, and I'm the boy in the family, and I have to go put hay out. It's like, do I want to? No, but do I have to? Yeah, I got to go out there for an hour and a half and do this. So same thing with the summertime. It's beautiful out. All my friends are at their cottages or skateboarding and stuff that I want to do, but like we've got 3 days of doing hay or cleaning the barn to do. Like that's just the way it is. It's like, okay, let's roll up your sleeve and get to work. So I went with the same mentality as that to my mental health and finally like overcoming this stuff. I was like, is it going to be easy? No. Is it going to be hard? Hell yeah. Am I going to let it beat me? No. Did I think it was going to beat me? Like, yeah, many, many, many times. But that same mentality where I just went at it, and I worked with a therapist and finally gained the tools. That's a big thing is for me is the tools, and in that, I think it comes with time, and also comes with, some leadership, some guidance. And yeah, finally got to that point where it was one way or the other. It was either, like I said, go on the street and become just call it whatever and be a drug addict, or go the opposite route. And I chose the opposite.
Yeah. You know, I do want to ask you too about how was that transition, right? Because one of the things I wanted to, mention, I've been talking about, my work, in other areas outside of entertainment, because I feel like a lot of people don't really get to know me as a person. So I'll just say this, when I got to work with, people who was in that situation that you were in. I took a sociology class while I was in college. So part of the class, I had to go to a AA meeting, and so because I had the connection with these people, I ended up attending a AA meeting with them. And there was one guy in particular, and I still talk to him once in a while, but he was telling me how for him, he made that change. He lived in upstate New York in a certain area, and he knew that if he stayed in that area, he would not continue. He would continue doing what he was doing. So he ended up moving, and But the problem is he brought the same people that he lived in the area with him, and he ended up, being living in this house with a bunch of people who knew he was recovering, but they offer him money to go buy alcohol, knowing that he was trying not to do it, and he ended up relapsing because his environment, even though he changed his environment, he didn't change his circle, and I think that does play a big part in the fact that how people can, everybody's different, obviously, but for you, did you have to make certain sacrifices or certain changes outside of therapy to get you to that point too?
Yeah, I would say like when I stopped drinking, I lost a lot of my drinking friends, and it's not because they're bad people or because I'm better than or whatever. It's just that's what we had in common. That was our common. That's what we did together. Same with lacrosse. When I stopped playing lacrosse, I lost a lot of my lacrosse buddies and people because that chapter of my life was closed, and that's what we had in common. It's just the ebbs and flows of the seasons of life. But when it came to like the drugs and stuff like that, I was very insular and very like hidden, and I would just do it myself. Where I would just like I'd go out, I'd go train my clients in the morning, I'd go to a shoot, I'd go to the gym. Everything looked like it was like perfect on the outside or whatever you want to think, whatever. People could just make their own assumptions, and I'd be like, just smiling, all great and good. And then I get home, and then I would just like, just get into it, like, and that was very insular. But it's interesting you say that because I remember I was in the midst of my drug addiction, and I didn't really talk about it with many people. And I told my dad once, I was like, I think I'm going to move. He's like, what do you mean? I'm like, I think I'm going to move somewhere else in Toronto. Like, just, I don't know, just change the scenery. He's like, look, I don't know what you're going through right now exactly. You tell me as much as you want to tell me, but I don't know exactly what you're going through. But just know that wherever you go, your problems are going to follow you.
Mm-hmm.
Like, don't think that you're magically going to go somewhere else and, it's going to just change like a magic. And it was true. And when I finally moved to Texas, I was in a place where I had grown and I was moving towards opportunity as opposed to running away from something. And I've been in a place for a long time where I don't have, the farther, I guess, I don't know, the longer sobriety, the more sobriety that I incur, the longer it goes on, the less I want to ingest any kind of drugs or alcohol or anything like that. Like, I really enjoy being like waking up and feeling the same. I spent, like I said, like 15 years of my life doing everything I could to alter my state of consciousness, to, be drunk, to be high, to, drink too much caffeine, like to like anything, women, whatever it was, to alter my state of consciousness, like to distract me. And now I just like to be like, everything just be like kind of like just feel balanced, and the highs feel that much better. Like when you're in that, like when you're like conscious. And I'm not a preachy non-drinker. I'm not a preachy like sober guy. I'm not saying that everybody should do it. Like, nah, man, forget that. Live your life, do what you want to do by all means. I'm just sharing my story anecdotally. This is just what I've been through, like, but for me, I found that the highs feel that much better and the lows feel that much lower. But you can't experience the highs at that height without feeling the lows that low, because I lived in a gray area before where everything was just kind of like in here because I was always drunk or high or something. And the highs would be like, oh, that's great. And the lows would be like, oh, that sucks. Oh, that's great. Oh, that sucks. It was just like a very gray place to live. And yeah, it's like I said, like it got to a point where I was, I'm a dual citizen. And it was time for a change. And I was like, okay, I've done a lot of work to become, to grow and to get to where I'm at. And like I said, I'm going to move towards opportunity, and I'm not running from anything. I'm moving towards, and that was a big thing because you're absolutely right. I mean, the people you surround yourself with, the situations that you put yourself in. I know that there are certain situations that I won't put myself in, not because I'm tempted to use or anything like that. I just don't want to be around it. Even people who are smoking weed socially, like that's awesome. Like, I mean, like by all means, have fun with it. I just don't want to put myself in that situation because I just don't want to be around it. And drinking's fine. People can be drinking right next to me, but I won't date somebody who drinks because I don't want to have alcohol. So, somebody drinking in my house every day. I have a bottle of champagne in my thing. It's a souvenir from a ski trip back in the day, Dom Perignon. But not a big deal.
No judgment.
but but I have no desire to drink it because, like I said, I've just I don't want to. But yeah, it's very true. I mean, who you surround yourself with, the situations that you put yourself in. And one thing you said about going to AA, like I didn't go to AA right away, and that's probably I mean, the programs work differently for different people.
Right.
I took my own path, and that's fine. And like I said before, I'm very happy and proud of the path that I took. But I did finally go to an AA meeting with a friend of mine. She had a sugar addiction, and we went to this AA meeting, and it was in the back of a church, like in like this auditorium kind of thing, and there were hundreds of people there, and it gives you faith in humanity because you see, first of all, addiction and alcoholism and those kinds of things that you were saying before. Like people are like, yeah, you made that choice. Sure. It doesn't choose by race. It doesn't choose by tax bracket. It doesn't choose by job title. It doesn't, like, you see people driving in there in a Bentley and people riding on their bike, and they are like they're dealing with the same affliction, the exact same affliction. And I saw them handing out the chips and stuff, and people are getting their 10-year chip, people are getting their 5-year chip, their 1 year, 2 week, 1 week, and then the people who haven't even gotten sober but they want to start, and everybody supported and applauded every single one of those people the exact same. And it's like, man, this is a really incredible thing to see. Like, they're not making a bigger deal about the 10-year person as they are to the person who says, I want to stop but I haven't been able to start yet. And they're like, really coming together and genuinely there to support one another. It was really, really fantastic thing to see and to experience. And that's what I'd say to people before you judge and look at things and stuff. Just be like, you don't know what people have been through. You don't know what has gotten people to where they are, and all that glitters isn't gold, and all that stuff as well. But yeah, just don't be too hard on people, and lead with grace. I think it's an important thing that I've learned and I practice is, when I was miserable and I was an alcoholic, I wanted to bring everybody down to my level because misery loves company. It's, and I didn't realize, I just thought that all these bad things happened around me and I had the worst luck, but it was me. I was the nucleus. It was me putting it out. And now I'd rather lend a helping hand and continue to learn and grow because I don't think I know it all. I have, lots of learning to do. The older I get, the more I realize I don't know. When I was 18, I had it all figured out. I was like, you got a question? I got the answer. Easy. But yeah, I mean, it's lend a hand and don't be so quick to judge. I don't care if it's the person who, cuts your lawn or delivers your food or you work for, owns the business you work for, whatever. Everybody deserves the same amount of respect. Exact same amount of respect. I don't care what car you drive. I don't care how big your muscles are. I don't care how many zeros in your bank account. I don't care about your job title. I don't care about any of that stuff. I care about who you are as a person and how you treat other people. And that's it. And everybody gets my respect, like the same amount of respect from me. And now if you lose that respect, then, I wish you the best, but you're not going to be part of my life anymore, because I've learned, and we're just not meant to go on, but yeah, I'm a big proponent of that is never putting yourself above people and being, reaching out and helping and just understanding people are going through things.
That's beautifully said, and that's one of the reasons why I enjoy going to AA because that type of lifestyle. A lot of people, if you're not immediately impacted or you're not one of the people who are talking at those meetings, you don't really understand what's going on. I think a lot of people have judged people a little too harshly, and a lot of people don't even know why people got into that route, right? And I
Mm-hmm.
think it's important for people not to judge because, well, I would say this: I think people judge the ones that is clearly obvious, but the ones that dress up in the suit, who drive the nice car, people say, hey, they got the money, why not? So I think people do judge the ones that they deem maybe like low in society, but not the ones that have the status and the wealth. Because a lot of times, if you're, not that I'm throwing this out there at Bill, but if Bill Gates was out there doing that, people wouldn't care because he's a billionaire, right? So, I do want to ask you though, as you gotten successful, you have your own, business, you have your own brand. I'm sure you've been in a situation where hey, let's go discuss this business venture over dinner, or friends, hey, let's go out for a drink and stuff like that. Do you find yourself having to put boundaries, not just for your family, friends, and loved ones, but just for yourself, in the sense that everybody's different. But I know some people will say, I will never go to a bar because if I see the alcohol, I'm going to be tempted. Or I know you mentioned earlier, I wouldn't date somebody who smokes weed and stuff like that. Do you find it very important to set those boundaries clear and don't allow people to kind of maneuver around it?
For sure. I mean, I know now what boundaries I have to uphold, and what works and doesn't work for me. Like, I don't go to bars, not because I'm tempted to drink, just because it's not that much fun. Like,
Yeah.
drunk people are pretty annoying, and I was like the most annoying. I was that guy. Either I was everybody's best friend, or I wanted to fight somebody, or I was like, let's go to Wendy's, or I was like, I was just, or it's just not my scene. And I could easily go to a bar if I wanted to, like I said, and not drink. And every once in a while, I'll go out with friends, and they'll just be like, "Hey, can you like come along and talk to girls for us?" Because we're afraid to talk to girls. I'm like, "You guys are
There's
losers."
always those guys, huh?
Man.
Always.
Like, we're just gonna use you as bait, and then you can just like scoot off at the end of the night and whatever. I'm like, but so I can be in that kind of situation for sure, and that doesn't bother me. But yeah, like I said, like with regards to being around weed and that kind of stuff, and other, somebody asked me like a year ago or 2 years ago. It's like Sunday, I'm at the gym, and this couple is like, "Hey, what are you doing this afternoon?" I'm like, "Nothing. It's just Sunday. Probably watch some football or whatever." And they're like, "Hey, do you want to come over and candy flip?" And I'm like, "How do you know what that means?" And I guess it's taking mushrooms and LSD. I'm like,
That's new.
"What?" I'm like, "No, I do not want to do that." Like, that is, and it was just like as casual as it was. Like, "Hey, nice day outside, eh?" Like, I was like, "No, I don't want to, and I don't want to be around you guys when you're doing that, because that's just not my scene." And I don't know, probably be interesting to watch, but at the same time, I'm like,
Freaking
yeah,
nuts.
I'm not. I'm like, just casually drop some LSD and some mushrooms and whatever else in there on a Sunday afternoon. I'm like, dude, I got a hockey game later. Like, I'm not. So yeah, I mean, there are certain boundaries, and it's different for everybody. Like,
Right.
it's different for everybody, and it's in setting those boundaries and in understanding what your personal boundaries are and sticking to those and not wavering from them. And your boundaries will change as you go through recovery. Like, I've noticed that initially I was around alcohol a lot. That was fine because of the severity of the pancreatitis I had. I didn't want to go through that again. And then I found that I didn't want to be around it, and now I can be around it. And just like I said, there's ebbs and flows, and things change. But I know there are those certain things that are like, those are certain boundaries for myself, and the people that I get close with. I have friends who drink all the time, and they're really good friends of mine. That's got nothing to do with me. That's awesome. Like I said, go live your life, have fun. It's just I'm not usually around when that's happening, and then we're just doing our friend stuff otherwise.
Yeah. I'll tell you this. When I was in LA, you know, people when you told me that story, I was laughing because I've heard certain stories like that when I was living in LA, and it's mind blowing how like casual it is for a lot of people. And I don't judge, I really don't, because at the end of the day, everybody parties a different way. And I'm not talking about P Diddy for, but uh,
It's very different, as we're finding out. That is, whoa, that's a whole nother
yeah,
podcast.
yeah, that's a whole
Yikes.
nother thing.
That is
Stay tuned for part two, right?
bananas. Yeah, right. We'll
But
do some investigation, then we'll get back to you guys.
let me it's crazy for me, and the reason why I wanted to talk about the entertainment aspect, right, is because when I was living in LA, I met a lot of actors. I met a lot of people who was in a mingle with celebrities, and it was going out to these celebrity parties and whatever the case would be. And I, it just like I remember going to one, and I was just using the bathroom. I had a beer, and I'm using the bathroom, and some dude comes up to me, like, yo, you want some cocaine? And I'm just like, the audacity in the middle of a public bathroom to do that. And I've realized that, a lot of people, especially in entertainment, I'm not going to point out anybody's names or anything, but I feel like partying and doing drugs is like synonymous with entertainment. for you being successful in modeling, maybe modeling is just a little different. But do you find yourself having to stay away from certain like functions and stuff because you know what that entails, or is it for you like I just do my job and I go home and I do my other stuff that I got going on and I just don't that doesn't even face me at all?
So I know for a fact, like it's a stone cold fact. I've been successful, very successful in modeling, and continue to be. But I know for a stone cold fact that I would be exponentially more successful with whatever you define success as, but resumes and booking those top jobs. If I would have gone to the after parties and gone back to the owner of the agency's house and blown coke all night, just there was a certain group that would do that, and I even had those moments where I was like, man, maybe I just do a little bit of coke, and I was like, I can't do that. I'm like, that's not who I am. But sure enough, those guys were booking this job, in different markets and stuff, and I was like, I know, like I said, if I got into that circle and I'd go out to bars and go out and do all that kind of stuff and do the VIP thing. I'd drink water or Red Bull or whatever when I was drinking caffeine at the time. And it would be, like I said, and then it would be like 2:30, and it'd be like, you got a choice. You can either hop on the subway and go home, or you can head over and, just do whatever. And I had to choose that for myself. And that's very much a part of, I'm thankful for the morals and values my parents instilled in me and the person that I decided I wanted to be. But yeah, it's for sure. I mean, but there's also the other side of it too, where people get too wrapped up in that. Like you're modeling in a new industry, in a new market, and yeah, like I said, it's every night there's a party. You got club promoters messaging you. There's free this, free that, free VIP, and people just go off the rails with it. And then they get sent home because you can't show up and do your job. Like you are completely, so it goes different ways, but yeah, it's again, to each their own. I can look myself in the mirror and say that I stuck to my guns and I am the person that you know person that I'm supposed to be.
About fitness because you're a certified personal trainer,
Mm-hmm.
and I make sure I work out. I'm 6'4". I make sure I stay looking good for camera. But for you, like being a fitness coach, how's that for you? Because being a model, on one hand, you got to stay in shape, but two, just from a health standpoint, it's always important to just keep your body in shape and keep it training and keep it moving. For you, um, has modeling changed your outlook on fitness, or do you feel like your idea of fitness just carried over into modeling?
It has changed my idea of fitness, but that's grown and evolved and has changed since. Um, I am now a big believer in fitness is mind, body, spirit. I think you have to take care of all those things. Because for the longest time, I just took care of my body. My mind and spirit, I just like forget it. That's what drugs are for. Whatever. I can just work on the outside, and then I'll be happy. And then I'll ignore the inside, and that doesn't work. I work out, again, modeling is just a job title. It's whatever. Like I tell my clients and stuff, and I show them pictures of what I looked like before when I was an alcoholic, stuff like that. I work out for life. Modeling is just a byproduct of that. I will never do anything. Again, this is for me personally, but people can do whatever they want. I will never put anything in my body, anything illegal or anything that will jeopardize my health, to take a shortcut. I'd rather work years upon years to reach the goals and attain the goals and keep leveling up, as opposed to taking a shortcut and, stick this thing in your, take this needle or do this, whatever. I will never do that. Again, by all means, anybody do whatever they want. I'm not being preachy, but it's just for me and what I've been through with my internal health, with pancreatitis and drugs and stuff like that. I won't do it. But I think, and this isn't a modeling thing. This is a life thing. It's be the best version of yourself and the most comfortable version of yourself that you can be. And knowing that in social media, in life, there are all these people out there that we can compare ourselves to and be like, whatever actor or whatever social media personality looks like this, so I need to. There's already that person out there. There's already that version of that person out there with their own genetics, with their own things, and whatever. And like we said before, all that glitters is gold. But be the best version of yourself. That's when I started booking the most jobs, when I stopped trying to emulate other people and be like other people, because there's already the this, that, and the other guy. There's only one Jonathan Niziol, just one. And I can be the best version of, and it's holding yourself accountable and working hard and stuff like that, but also not like, give yourself a break every once in a while. Like, be lenient, but not too lenient. If like the days where I feel like, so I play hockey. I love playing hockey. I'm from Canada, grew up playing hockey, been playing since I was like 6 years old. So I moved to Texas, and there's actually a really good hockey scene down here. So I play on 4 teams, 4 nights a week. It's, my hobby. It's a good way to get out. It's a good way to, like, when I first moved here, a good way to meet people. Because like I said, I don't go to bars. I don't play video games. I'm not going to just like walk up to guys and be like, hey, you want to be friends? Like, that's not the kind of, so I play hockey and it's, some days I'm sore and some days I really need to take a day off for my body. Other days I wake up and my head's kind of in a funk, and mentally I'm like, I don't want to go there. And those are the days where I'm like, oh, put your shoes on, we're going. Because those are the days when it's most important to go there, where you can't let that, like, that anxiety that morning or that whatever, that kind of just feeling down, we can't let that win, where it's like, those are the most important days. I go, I feel better for it. I'm like, oh, okay, good. I'm not going to let that dictate. But I take every Saturday morning off of the gym, most Saturday mornings. Oh yeah, pretty much, because I play hockey Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then Tuesdays. So Friday night, rest Saturday, rest Saturday morning, play Saturday night, go to the gym Sunday morning, play Sunday night. So yes, it's important, but mentally make sure you hold yourself accountable, and you'll discover wonderful things about yourself, what our bodies are capable of, what you are capable of as an individual. There's no better motivator than when somebody sees the growth and the transformation and transition in their body, whether it be physical or, strength or whatever. And people are like, oh, wow. And that lights a fire. Like, that's better than any personal trainer yelling at you or any, like, buy this program or anything like that. When people just go in there, they're consistent and they start to see it, they're like, oh yeah, here we go. And that's awesome. I love that.
Yeah, I would just say I disagree with one thing about not being yourself, right? Because look at Dwayne Rock Johnson. He stole my moniker. He's the most electrifying man. I'm the most charismatic man. Look how much money he's making. So Dwayne, I want a piece of the check. I'm just kidding. But what is your team though? Actually, since you're in hockey, I watch hockey. I'm a Islanders fan, but and some people might call me a front runner. But I love Ovechkin. I love the Capitals, Tampa Bay. Who's your team?
Maple Leafs. I'm a Leafs fan from Toronto.
Oh,
Unfortunately, I know. Every year it's disappointment. Yeah, I'm a Leafs fan through and through. I can't, I bleed blue. Every year's a little bit of disappointment, but it was really exciting to see Dallas do so well this year, because being here and being in this atmosphere and stuff like that, and like seeing the vibe in the city, especially now that the NBA playoffs, like finals, are getting ready to start, and Dallas is in that as well. Like, I want to see Dallas do well, because I'm not hopping the bandwagon. I'm not, I'll be a Leafs fan, but I love I want to see my friends' teams do well. And I like to say like the buzz going on in the city around me and stuff. So I was cheering for the Stars after the Leafs went out, but I'll always be a Leafs fan for
You know,
better
before
or worse.
but before we conclude this episode, I'm gonna need you to apologize because you got that guy John Tavares, and what he did the Islanders was dirty. I can't
Man, he
accept
spent
that.
so many years though. He gave like so many years. I know, right? He had to go back, and it was time to move on. And you guys got Barzell, and you guys got a great You guys are on your way up for sure. Leafs need to
Yeah.
make some real big changes, but the Islanders they're looking really good. Lou Lamoriello as GM, they're doing some really good things. They're going to be a really really good team for the years to come. And Leafs could be as well if they start to shake some things up, which I think they are going to.
Yeah, I'm just busting your chops. Like when I got into, because my buddy got me into hockey, so his family is Islanders fan. So when I started watching it, that's when John Tavares. I heard about him, and then he left. So I'm just mocking, because I know a lot of people didn't like that. But yeah, I'm actually curious what's going to happen during the off season because a lot of people think there's going to be some changes to the line. So,
For
we
sure.
might see some veterans go. We have Bo Horvat, so I can't complain that much. But to be honest with you, I haven't really watched the playoffs that much, mostly because, I've been watching UFC stuff. But I am like pretty shocked in a good way that the two teams that nobody really thought was going to enter the playoffs and be in the finals are actually doing it. Because for the
Yeah.
last 8 years has been either the Capitals or the Lightning involved.
Yeah.
So it's nice to see that shakeup.
Florida was there last year, which is, they're a strong team, and they knew they're going to be a big push. And it's good to see Edmonton finally, like with Connor McDavid. It's actually funny. I used to play lacrosse against John Tavares' uncle, who was also he was named after, so John Tavares. And he's a bit older than I was. And when I was playing, I played defense and play against him and stuff like that. And it didn't matter how old he was. Like if you gave him an extra shot, he would turn around and he would two-hand you. And like, he's the leading point scorer or goal scorer of all the leagues that I played in and stuff like that. He had an incredible career. He's coaching now and stuff, but he was a no-nonsense guy. And I used to fight a lot in lacrosse and stuff like that. Thankfully, I never fought him. But yeah, it's interesting. It'll be interesting. Now I want to see a Canadian team win the cup. Again, not hopping the bandwagon because I'll always be a Leafs fan, but it'd be great to see a Canadian team win the cup again. It'd be, if I had to choose between Florida and Edmonton, I'm definitely going with, I gotta, back Edmonton, and I want to see that happen. But I just want to see a good series either way.
Yeah, it's gonna be. I'm gonna definitely tune in as we get towards the finals. But yeah, it's been an interesting year. I do want to ask you real quick because I have to ask you. As a Canadian and as an NHL fan, although he's not really Canadian, but Alex Ovechkin, do you think he breaks the all-time scoring list, or do you think that the Capitals retire him before he gets the chance?
I was talking to my buddies about this in the locker room recently, and my buddy is a Caps fan as well. And he was like, I don't think he's going to do it, man. Like, he still put up 30 this year, but it was a hard 30. Like, as he gets older, I mean, he plays a very physical game. And, he's been dominating and producing for so many years. I think he's a fantastic player. It's incredible what he's done for the game. It's gonna be, I don't know. I really don't know if he's gonna do it or not. I mean, he's getting close, but it still is. It's those last few are the hardest because, like I said, he's been playing a hard physical game for a long time, and it's starting to catch up. Like, it's really starting to catch up with him. And whether or not he can push through and get get to the final, it'd be interesting to see. Like, it'd be a crazy passing of the torch and amazing cap on his career. Obviously first ballot Hall of Famer regardless, and one of the greatest to ever do it. But yeah, I don't know. It'd be interesting to see. I love Wayne Gretzky. He's a national treasure, or a Canadian national treasure, obviously. And yeah, it'd be really interesting to see. And I will say though, so they've retired number 99 in all of hockey. Nobody in the NHL can wear number 99, right? Like that's and as the way it should be. And they should have retired Jordan's number. They should have retired 23. There's no way that anybody else should be wearing 23 after what Michael Jordan did. They should have put it up
I
in the
agree.
rafters and league wide, retired it because of what he did and the pin. You know what I'm saying? Like I've always like wondered that. I'm like, I know he's a billionaire. I know he's like doing well, like all that stuff, and he's LeBron and Jordan thing. But I just feel like they should have like put his number like untouchable, like come do your own thing like Shaq did and Kobe did, and like pick your own number and be your own player.
That is a good point. I didn't even know about that. I mean, Jordan was before my time, so I didn't really
Oh
watch
man,
him
he was awesome.
play. But is Kobe's number retired?
Not league wide, I don't think. Or that's a good question. I don't know. That's a good question.
No, I don't think it is. I think it's retired for the Lakers, but I don't think it's
Yeah.
retired in
Oh,
the
it's for
NBA.
sure retired for the Lakers. But I'm saying what Jordan did and when he did it, I mean, I should have taken that number off. Like that's it. There was only one Michael Jordan. Pick a new number. Like start to whatever. The way that Wayne Gretzky, like number 99, it's nobody else can ever wear that ever again. I think it's the way it should be.
I agree. It's a tough one because yeah, I could see arguments for both. People saying, well, yeah, he was so dominant what he's done for the sport, but the sport moves on. But like you said, Wayne Gretzky got his number retired. I don't know. I think they're just two different sports. And I guess when you make 300 million for 4 years, you really don't care about your number at that point. So
No, I know.
who knows? And I'm sure he's making way more than that. But
Shoes alone, man, it's incredible. It's so easy too. Nike's like with this whole like retro thing and bringing out and stuff. It's like shooting fish in a barrel. They're like, oh, you mean all these like old styles that we have just sitting here, like already made? People love this and want this stuff. It's like print. I mean, it's obviously printing money. Like they don't have to just design new shoes. They just keep putting out the same old shoes and just adding new twists to it. And it's like, man, it's just printing money. And then the whole sneaker, sneakerhead industry and stuff like that. And yeah, it's
yeah, I do want to actually before I actually did, I do want to say, because I love Ovechkin and I just don't know if he will break it mostly because he's almost 40. He's not that far, maybe a year or two. And as newer players come in, they're not going to really, they're going to respect him, but they're not going to respect him on the ice in the same way.
no,
With,
of course
oh,
not.
it's
You have to.
Ovechkin. And people know what he's up to. It's like when Steph Curry. Now, granted, Steph Curry can still make those threes, but people know what the game plan is at that point. So I just wonder, will it get to the point where the Capitals is because they're not going to keep paying him all that money when they have a cap that they can use for a younger prospect.
Yeah.
So it's like unless Alex Ovechkin is willing to take a pay cut, I think it's going to get down to financially doesn't make sense to keep him if he doesn't break the record anytime soon. So I don't know. I don't know.
It'd be a shame to see him in any other uniform than a Capitals uniform, and I think that he should retire a Capital, and I think he will do that. And just like you said, he's been out, but that's the ultimate form of respect is to not like tiptoe around somebody out there because of who they are. It's to play them hard and play them whatever. Like that's the ultimate form of respect, and that's the sports mentality. It's like, yeah, we're going to play, OV or Kobe or whoever. Like, you don't want to be that goalie that he scores the winning, like the record breaking goal on or whatever. Or you don't want to be that defenseman that gets walked as he like, and that's the ultimate form of respect from like athlete to athlete is to play them as hard as if they were Joe Smith off the bench. Like, play them hard and play and yeah, I think it's the way it should be. And I think that's where most athletes look at it because, you want to be on the other side of that poster where you're like, your face is getting and somebody's dunking on you. Like nobody wants to be that guy. Like,
Yeah. All right. One more hockey question before I move on. So which one do you think is more significant? I might botch the name. I think it's Ovechkin's one timer, when he's in the corner and he goes for the slap shot. Or do you think Nikita Kucherov's no shot goal? Which one do you think is more iconic?
I mean, there was a meme recently of like the most terrifying stance in sports, and it's just Ov just posted up there waiting at the face-off dot on the power play, just waiting for that one timer to come over. So I think like they're revolutionary. Like there are moves and goals and stuff that are like, one-offs, and you get these young guys who are doing all kinds of cool things and stuff like that. And Cooch is like no shot, that's obviously a very, out of the box kind of thing. And it's but look at how many times Ovechkin's done that. Just post up on the power play. He's the right-handed shot on the left side, and he just hammers it. And I mean, I think it's tried and true. Like he's not a one-trick pony. Like he just keeps doing it and doing it and doing it. So
Yeah.
I would say that.
Yeah, it's I gotta give it to Ovechkin, because it's been out longer. He's been doing it longer, and But shout out to Kucherov. But I do want to ask
Yeah.
you another thing, just to switch gears a little bit back to fitness. There has been I've been critical in the fitness industry. I'll be remiss to say I'm a hypocrite, right? Because I'm one of those people that will record myself at the gym, because I'm trying to inspire people. But for me, whether I bring my tripod or I use equipment at the gym to record, I'm respectful of other people, right? But there is a rise. Shout out to Joey Swole. If you don't know, he's an Instagram creator, fitness guy, who there's been a rise of the cameras in the gym. People recording themselves at the gym, and then people start in trouble because they're recording and they put it on the internet, and all types of nonsense with that. What do you think about gym culture nowadays? Do you think that it's become toxic? What, in your opinion, what do you see is wrong with the fitness industry now? Because there is a lot of criticism whether it's the Liver King, using performance enhancing, professional athletes being busted for steroids, and just the no cameras in the gym, stuff like that. What do you think about the gym culture right now?
I mean, it's a huge question. I mean, I've spent tens of thousands of hours in gyms and working out and doing that kind of stuff. Fitness, like I said, has always been my passion. I was thinking about it recently. I was like, I've spent a lot of time in gyms, like a lot of time. I respect, people want to record themselves. I'll take videos every once in a while and just put it up. But what I like about what Joey Swole's doing is, that remembering it's not your gym. If you set up a tripod or you set up a camera or something and somebody walks by, well, it's a public space and it's everybody's gym. And I always say to myself, I love everybody at the gym, whether it's your first day or it's your 10,000th day. I love it all because everybody's in there and they're working on themselves for whatever reasons. We all have different reasons and stuff, but they're in there doing something about it and, taking the bull by the horns. Again, people can do what they want with regards to performance enhancing drugs and stuff like that. I think that it gets a bit murky when people are faking, like photoshopping or pretending to be natural and trying to sell something, and bold-faced lying to people. And there have been a lot of those influencers and people who are selling programs and just lying about their own personal stuff. I think that's kind of a shitty thing to do. That's not a cool thing to do. But again, people have to do as they want. I love good gym etiquette, and I love when people put their weights back where they're supposed to be. I love when people are polite and are you using this, are you using that kind of stuff. And it's like, yeah, let's all just have fun. Let's all do our stuff. And like I said, not just because your booty sticks out to like here doesn't mean that it's bigger. You're better than somebody who sticks out to there. Like whatever, man. Like let's just all go in there and do our things and try and be the best version of ourselves. And yeah, gym culture is always going to be kind of weird. I've seen a lot of things, and done a lot of things, and it's a weird culture. But I think like anything else, it changes with society, and it's got its ups and downs.
You don't skip leg day, do you?
I do because I play hockey 4 times a week, and I have very muscular defined legs. Like my calves are like it's a genetic thing. So if I work legs, I will very, very quickly get to the point where I won't fit clothes when I go to modeling shoots. As it is, my legs are too muscular as it is, like just from playing hockey 4 times a week. So I can't work them on top of that because my legs will grow exponentially very quickly. And if I go to a casting and I don't fit in the clothes, they're going to call the next guy whose legs do fit. So my agency knows my legs are muscular. They are, very well defined, everything, whatever, but I can't work them extra because, like I said, it'll just be too much. And I don't want to, like I said, I'm on the ice. I'm working my legs 4 times a week for an hour and a half doing high intensity interval, sprints and training and all that kind of stuff and edge work and all that stuff at hockey. Like, I mean, in the gym, do I do leg day? No, but I would be I'd put it up against anybody at the gym who does leg day. Come out and do what I do on the ice and see if you can keep up with that as far as your legs.
No, I agree. I'm not one of those people. I don't do a leg day workout. I don't do chest and back. Everybody's workout is different. I do more of like a full body CrossFit type of thing, and that's why for me, I record videos is because my videos are, it's not unorthodox in the fitness world, but when you see what goes viral on Instagram, it's usually, you know, granted, women, we all know why, but it's usually people doing like stationary moves like bicep curls, whatever the case may be. So my workouts are more designed for people to, you know, be active, right? Um, do you feel like the fitness? Oh, actually, let me change this question. Do you feel like your profession is gets targeted in a wrong way because of you see these influencers building a coaching business or a program, and lo and behold, they're editing their photos for Instagram. They're cheating behind the scenes. Do you feel like because of the negative rap the fitness industry gets, that people like you, certified personal trainers, find it hard? Maybe not you specifically, but do you feel like personal trainers get a people look at them a little more side eyed than they would if there was a better light on the fitness industry?
A little bit. I feel like it's always been kind of like a gray, kind of like shady, like used car salesman area where there are those people who are going to be like that, and there always will be those people. But people like myself who are genuine, who, people, excuse me, when I first work with clients, they hear personal trainer, model, all kind of stuff. So their defenses get up and they're like, oh, geez, I can't. This guy probably never had a bad day in his life. He probably, came out of the womb with abs from here to here. And it's like, no, this is what I looked like when I was an alcoholic, and I understand and I can empathize and genuinely have been in your shoes, and people's defenses are much quickly lowered, and they're more likely to work and to be more comfortable. And I always say too that I want the style of training that I do. I want to pass on my knowledge to my clients to the point in which I become obsolete as a trainer, where I've now passed along the knowledge and explained to you why you do things, and not just the movement, but the knowledge behind the why behind that. And I want to pass that along. And I want one day for you to say, hey, I don't think we need to work out anymore. And I'm like, awesome. Yeah, we don't. Go fly, man. Like, learn some new stuff. Come teach me that kind of stuff. So that's just the way I look at it. And I think, yeah, there are always going to be those personal trainers who that's just people in general. I mean, there are those models, there are people at work, we're 9 to 5. I mean, there are also those people in general who are, lawyers get a bad rap, because there are a lot of sleazy lawyers. And it's like, there are a lot of good lawyers too. And, you name the industry, there are a lot of like sleazeballs or, girls and guys. And there are a lot of good people too. And I think karma and the world kind of takes care of that kind of stuff.
When it comes to, we was talking about modeling and like how the industry's changed, body diversity, inclusion, and all that. We're seeing that now in fitness, and I will say I will give credit. I've been critical in the fitness industry, not because of like people like you or the people who actually work it. It's the people you see who gets the spotlight, the people who are obviously just using this as a platform to make money, and they don't really care about giving people actual results. They care about getting clients so they make money, right? But I do see now when I go to gyms, you don't see the one size fits all anymore. You don't just see the girl with the washboard abs or the dude who looked like he just walked out of a Thor movie. You're seeing, some personal trainers out there who, could they work on they chest or whatever a little more? Absolutely. But they're athletic. They look the part. They may not be ripped like Thor, but they look like someone who enjoys fitness. Do you feel like as a personal trainer, it's important for the trainer to look the part, or do you think that there needs to be some diversity? Because if everybody just sees everybody in every personal trainer will washboard abs, they kind of feel like nobody looks like me in here. How do you feel about that approach?
I think that you should practice what you preach. And if you preach health, then, be healthy. And health looks like a lot of different things to a lot of different people. Body shapes, body sizes, all that kind of stuff. I think that's an important thing that I think with regards to modeling as well. Back in the 90s, they decided they were going to stop working with anorexic models and glamorizing these models who were obviously hurting themselves in order to attain this figure that was being rewarded. And they said, okay, we're going to stop booking these models because we're not going to promote this. I think that's a similar thing, I think, on the other side, where it should be, people who are hurting themselves by being overweight or stuff like that, that shouldn't be glamorized. But that's a whole different topic for other people. I just think health looks a lot differently for a lot of people. It doesn't, like you said, there's not one size fits all. Everybody's got abs and stuff like that. But I think you should practice what you preach. It's like, but again, nobody's perfect. Like a big thing I always say to my clients is there's no, like, don't use the word cheat. There's no such thing as a cheat day. Like, I used to tell myself that all the time, like, cheat this, cheat that. But I've come to realize, like, just live your life. If you want to eat something or indulge in or whatever, have something, have it. The moment you say cheat day, you are you're telling yourself you're doing something wrong. So are you going to really enjoy what you're doing and what you're eating or what you're indulging in? It's like, no, because you're putting a negative connotation towards it. Just live your life. And it's like, okay, maybe don't go to McDonald's every single day, 3 times a day. But, if you want to go do whatever or get whatever, just live your life. Just don't put that negative connotation. And that's how I live my life too. I extremely healthy. I enjoy what I eat. But yeah, like I said, I think it's important to that. And I think the most important thing is just practice what you preach. But I don't think, I don't think it's a certain look. I don't think it's a certain whatever. I like the diversity of that. And I think I've I've worked with and seen a lot of personal trainers that are, very different shapes and sizes, and, their knowledge is through the roof, and, what they can teach people and stuff like that. And yeah, I don't think that really matters. I think just practice what you preach. Like Liver King and like The Rock and stuff like that. And like, yeah, we're natural. It's like, yeah, okay, sure. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Right.
Come on, Jonathan. You can't be talking about The Rock
Dude,
like that. That's my uncle, man. Nah.
it's it's so obvious. It's not even a thing, but
I,
hey, but you know what? He's not trying to sell anybody anything. I mean, he's, he is what he is. He's a caricature. He's extremely successful. I think it's fantastic what he's doing. I think, like, I wish him like all the best and all that kind of stuff. And do as you please. But it's just, I guess more so like Liver King, where he's like, nope, never taken everything, buy my program, eat raw liver, that kind of stuff. And then he's spending $12,000 a month in HGH or something, like, something crazy like that. But yeah, do as you please, practice what you preach.
I'm gonna call The Rock right now, man. No.
Call him, put him on. I got his number. Speed, that's 3-way right now. Call him. I tell him right to his face. I'm
That
scared.
will be the last modeling job you get if you do that.
Yeah, right. Blacklisted. Like,
nah,
whoops.
I'm just playing. Nah, I love The Rock, but I've had this conversation. Like, people, I think people just don't want to believe it. But it's like, come on. Even like I'm not trying to downplay him. Obviously we got the little beef with the most charismatic thing going on. But come on, you can't tell me someone in their 50s look better than they did when they were in their 20s, especially at that size. Like, there's no way you gain that much muscle, you look that much better than you did when you was 25 or 30, like that. But anyway, that's besides the point.
No.
Fitness, I enjoy it, and I get to meet a lot of people, including you, who are very passionate about fitness, and I think it's unfortunate. One of my favorite channels is, I'm sure you know Jeff Cavalier, Athlete Next. Um, and even him, like for a guy who does a pretty good job of not steering anybody to one specific thing, people always criticize him, and I think the problem is social media has allowed so many people to have their voice be heard that it dilutes fitness, right? And I feel like this old adage saying, and I'm sure you've said this and heard this: abs aren't made in the gym; they're made in the kitchen, right?
Of
And
course.
we it's gotten so bad that you have people feeling like you can out train a bad diet. Like this is certain creator I see on Instagram. And I will give them credit. They work out hard, but I obviously know they don't live the life that they're trying to portray on social media. Meaning, you see them going to fast food all the time. They're eating cheeseburgers. The Rock, his cheat meals. People think they eat like this all the time. No, they don't. They eat a healthy lifestyle, and then when they record videos, I'm sure they allocate calories for that. So I feel like social media has ruined fitness. I mean, in one aspect, it has allowed different voices to be heard, right? And it has allowed people who are knowledgeable and who are passionate about fitness to reach new people. But the people who are going viral aren't exactly those type of people always. It's usually the ones that look like someone straight out of a movie, who has the abs, and, have the jawline that, you know, The Rock Johnson wants to get like I have. But anyway, um, uh, do you feel like we will get to the point where fitness can not just be about a business, but really about having people? Or do you think having people, better themselves? Or do you think that it's kind of long gone in that aspect?
I don't think social media has ruined fitness. I think social media has just changed fitness, like it's changed the world um, in every aspect. It's ever changing, ever evolving. With regards to who goes viral and not and stuff, you don't know the algorithms and stuff like that, and we can't really guess what the next big thing is going to be or who is going to be the next whatever for whatever reason and stuff like that. I would hope that people are doing things for the right reasons and looking at one another, through a empathetic, leading with grace lens. But is that the reality of society and the fact of the matter? No, it's not going to be the majority of the time. But that's societally. That's been since the dawn of time. That's been since the 30s, 40s, like before social media. That was always still a thing. People judged based on they judge a book by its cover or, whatever. They're quick to judge. And I think that's never going to change. I think social media is just changing the world in general for all aspects of us and the way we interact and view things and intake information. And, that includes fitness and stuff like that. I think we'll just have to wait and see. I mean, if you can predict the future, give me some lotto numbers. But I think we're all just kind of in the wait and see and hope for the best. I have a lot of faith in humanity and hope that people are doing things for the right reasons. And yeah, I mean, we'll just have to wait and see. Just all we can do is do our part, and we can only just do our be the best version of ourselves, whatever that means, and put that out in the world, and then kind of let everybody else do their own thing because that's their right and their privilege. And what makes the world a beautiful place is the fact that everybody doesn't wear blue tank tops and do their hair like you. I mean, the fact that we have these different tastes and styles and stuff is what makes the world, a beautiful place. So we'll see.
No, you're right. And I tell Dwayne all the time, you can't look like this, buddy. No, but anyway, this is not about me. Jonathan, I've had you on for a while. I know you're a busy man, but is there anything going on for you right now? Like, do you have anything in the works? Do you have anything that you want to share that's coming up? Do you have anything behind the scenes that you got cooking up?
I do actually. I'm just finalizing the details on being brought on as a co-host and probably partner of I think it's the number 4 podcast for health and fitness on Spotify and like one of the top 10 podcasts on Apple Podcasts for health and fitness. So I've already been doing some. We haven't officially released it and done the press releases and stuff like that, but yeah, I'll be doing that and excited to do that. I've been doing podcasts for 9 months, and I wanted to start my own podcast, and then I went on this podcast, and they asked me to host some episodes, and now they're asking me to come on as a co-host, full-time co-host, and it's kind of cool to jump up to a podcast that is of that level and stuff like that. But no, I'm just going to keep doing podcasts. I love working with people and just meeting people like yourself. I think what you're doing is fantastic. Keep doing it, keep being you. I'm just going to, I'll be here modeling and working to keep a roof over my dog Bailey's head.
Yeah, I know. Your dog was trying to bark over the most charismatic man. What's going on? No, I'm just playing. Lovely dog. But I'm curious, real quick. Have you ever thought about going into acting? Like maybe just.
I've thought about it, and like I always say, whenever I was in a city, whenever I was like, traveling and stuff for modeling and in a different city, instead of going to acting classes and stuff like that, I was in the gym, and I had that passion for fitness. And I've done commercials and like, minor speaking role, like a couple sentences here and there, whatever. But something I've become more curious about. But in my past and along the way, I've always been much more fitness focused. And yeah, I mean, I'm see what the future holds, but definitely not opposed to it.
Yeah, so if you ever get the opportunity, just let them know you know me, and you'll get the role. But
Then I'll get blacklisted. They'll be like, yeah, you're never working in this town again. Yeah, right. You're like, what? Never heard of him. Nope. Yeah.
Hey, you said it.
Were you on this podcast? Nope. Delete it. Never. Nope. All right, you got the job. Oh, phew, that was close. Yeah.
I'm heartbroken. First, the Wayne turns on me. Now you. Come on, man. What am I doing in life?
I mean,
you know what? I take it back. You don't look like Tom Holland. Forget Tom Welling. Forget about it. Forget it.
And he looks like me. He wishes he looked like me.
That's true. That's
other way around.
But yeah, well, you still got youth on your side, So
true that. Age is just a number, my friend.
Yeah, but Jonathan, it's been a pleasure to have you on. Like I said, we're going on an hour and a half, and I'm sure if you ever want to come back, and we'll have you on. But where can people find you? Where can people, if they interested in personal training services, learning your story, connecting with you, where can people find you?
So the biggest, I'm probably most active on Instagram. It's just Jonathan Niziol, first and last name. Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube is all Jonathan Niziol. My Facebook page is Jonathan Niziol Official, and my website is Jonathan Niziol Official. And my Instagram has all the links to all the podcasts I've been on, as well as my website and stuff like that. I love connecting with people. I love learning from people. I love continuing the conversation. A lot of times I'll do podcasts and people will pop up and tell me stuff that they do to help with their mental health or their addiction and stuff like that. And I love that. I love to continue to learn and grow. And like I said, I don't think I have it all figured out. I do not have all the answers. I'm just trying to get through life like everybody else is. And yeah, I love hearing from people and connecting. So reach out, slide my DMs. not like Diddy. Hey, more power to him. If he's having fun, but as long as nobody gets hurt, I mean, hey, everybody do as they please, as long as it doesn't hurt anybody else. Like, do as you please.
Hey, if you want to party with John, I love P. Diddy jokes.
Yeah, you better not like tag this like, hey, Jay Diddy's on the.
Hey, you gotta go viral, man. You gotta go viral.
Yeah, there's such a thing as bad press.
You know what I'm saying? But Jonathan, it's been a pleasure to have you on, and I'm sure I'm looking forward to have you on again soon. And like I always say, a helping hand is a better hand, and it's not just a slogan; it's a way of life. And I think Jonathan in this episode has proved that. Be sure to help somebody else, because you never know when you'll need help too. So I'm the most charismatic man. That's Jonathan Niziol. And we're going to see you in the next episode. Check out Jonathan. His website is amazing. I got the pleasure of checking everything out. He's doing this thing, and he's showing the world that you can bounce back from adversity. And so I welcome you to do the same. You don't gotta go. You don't gotta go home, but you can't stay here. We'll see you later.